Hello students, I am Dr. Rajaram Dhok from Savitribai Phule Pune University affiliated Agricultural Development Trust Shardabai Pawar Mahila College Sharda Nagar Baramati. Let's start. Today we learn about the valence bond theory for coordination complexes. In this valence bond theory, in the lecture 6, we learn about the multiple bonding. So, Pauling have explained in the formation of the bond with sigma bond, there is also formation of other bonds, and that is the pi bond. So with sigma bond, there is formation of other bond, and so that bonding that is called as multiple bonding. So there are so many ligands like CO, RNC, PX3, PR3, ASR3, SR3, and that ligands are generally called as very poor electron donors, or they are called as weak field ligand. But these ligands also forms stable metallic complexes. How that happens, or why that happens, for that purpose, Pauling have studied on that, and Pauling suppose that atoms of the transition metals are capable of forming multiple bondings with electron accepting groups by making the use of electrons and orbitals of the shell below the valence shell. Means he observed that in addition to the sigma bond, a pi bond may be formed between the metal and ligand. So in this case, the electrons are donated by the metal to the ligand and forms pi bond. Means we have seen that there is formation of sigma bond. In the formation of sigma bond, electron pair of ligand is donated to the metal and there is formation of sigma. But when ligand contains empty orbitals and metal contains lone pair of electron, then metal electrons or metal lone pair of electrons are donated and they are accepted by the ligands, and there is formation of reverse bonding. There is formation of back bonding, and there is formation of bond that is called as pi bond. So multiple bonding, that is also called as back bonding, or that is also called as reverse bonding. So such type of back bonding in which the metal shares its own pair of electron with the ligand and forms the bond that is the sigma bond. So such type of pi bond increases the strength of sigma bond. So there are mainly two types of pi bondings found in the coordinate complexes. And in that, first type of bond is formed by donation of electron from the metal d orbital, and generally in that metal d orbitals, T2g type of d orbitals take parts. So such type of T2g orbitals, these are the empty p orbitals of ligand. That T2g orbitals are from the empty p orbitals of the ligand. So we see here the metal d orbitals which contains empty p orbitals of that ligands, and the metal have lone pair of electrons that combines with each other, and there is formation of bonds that is called as d pi bond. So in this d pi bond, the lone pair of metal and empty orbitals of p orbitals of that ligand that can combine, and there is formation of d pi p pi bond. So generally this type of d pi p pi bond is observed in the certain elements generally in the nitrogen in NO2 minus ligand, carbon in CO, carbon in Cn minus ions. So that Cn containing ligand, CO containing ligands, or NO2 containing ligand, it forms d pi p pi bonds with the metal. Then second type of bond, that is by donation of electron from metal d orbitals, that is the T2g orbitals, and empty d orbitals of the ligand. Means in this case, metal d orbital which have empty, containing lone pairs, and empty orbitals of the ligand, and that empty orbitals are of the d shells that can combines and forms d pi bonding. So this type of bonding is generally observed in the ligands, that is the phosphorus ligand, sulfur ligand. So we take the example, that is the nickel and carbon bonds between in nickel CO4 molecules. So in this case, this bond between Ni and CO is shorter than that is the expected. And why it is shorter? Because here there is sigma bond between nickel and carbonyl, and with that there is also the pi bond formation between that nickel and carbonyl, and because of that the bond length is shorter than the expected. So this suggests that the bond has appreciable amount of double bond characters, that is the sigma bond and pi bond. So this valence bond representation of the metal carbon or metal and carbon double bonds, that requires that carbon oxygen bond be changed to double bond in order to vacate a p orbitals for d pi p pi bonding. So we consider that bonding between metal like nickel, which has available non-bonding pair of d electrons, and the ligand like px3, which is poor Lewis basis, they can combine and there is formation of bonds. The filled d orbital on the metal overlap with one of the empty d orbitals of phosphorus and gives d pi bonding. So we see here structure of this formation of d pi and p pi bonds. So in between nickel and CO, we see this formation of bond. So we show this pictorially. Here this is the nickel orbital and carbonyl orbitals. So here empty orbital of carbon and filled orbital of nickel overlap with each other sidewise, and there is formation of bond. So in this case, d orbital of the metal and p orbital of carbon, it overlaps sidewise and there is formation of d pi p pi bonds. So in between the metal and carbon, here d pi p pi bonding is formed. We take other example, that we take the phosphorus. So phosphorus contains the d orbitals. Nickel contains also the d orbitals. So corresponding symmetry of nickel orbitals and phosphorus d orbital, it can overlaps sidewise and there is formation of d pi bonds. So in case of the metal and ligand, d pi bonding is also formed. Now at the end of this valence bond theory of coordinates complexes, we see the limitations, because we have seen so many examples, and in some examples we have observed that this theory not explains satisfactorily, because there are so many limitations that inner orbital complexes is formed or outer orbital complexes is formed. This theory not explains very correctly, because this theory has some limitations. So we see what is the limitations of this theory. So this theory gives only qualitative explanations regarding the structures, bonding, and magnetic properties of complexes. This valence bond theory fails to give any quantitative explanation of the properties. This theory also not explains or interpret the spectra of complexes. So what is the spectrum, what is the value of that wavelength is not explained by this valence bond theory for any example. This valence bond theory cannot explain why certain complexes are more labile and certain complexes are less labile. Then this theory not explains or it not predicts the detail about the magnetic properties. Only it explains that is the paramagnetic or diamagnetic, but what is the actual magnetic property, it is not explained by this theory, and so that is the limitations of this theory. This valence bond theory, there is assumptions that all d orbitals are of equal energy, but actually all the d orbitals are not of equal energy, and there is splitting of the d orbital, and by splitting of the d orbital there is formation of different groups, and this is not explained by this theory. This valence bond theory not account for the relative energies of different structures. This theory also fails to account the observed geometries of certain complexes. Means the tetragonal complexes, then distorted octahedral complexes. These are not explained by this theory, but actually the octahedral complexes may be converted into tetragonal, and this is not explained by this theory. Again, this theory does not tell us why water and halide ions commonly forms high spin complexes, while cyanide ions forms low spin complexes. Because we have taken the example NiCl4 2-, that is high spin. But why this is high spin, this theory cannot satisfactorily explain. Then this theory does not give any satisfactory reason for the formation of inner orbital and outer orbital complexes. And so this theory has so many limitations, and to avoid that limitations, the other theory come in existence, and we see that theory in the next lecture.